Weapon Collector's recently done an 8-knife tag challenge. The knives are these: cheapest, most expensive, weirdest, homemade, oldest, newest, biggest and smallest. You'll have to forgive any noises in the background. It's really horribly humid day and I've got the window open. Anyway, start with cheapest. This was £2.84. I bought it in a small town in Poland where my wife's from. I have actually got one that I paid £1 for, but that was in a sale, so I'm not going to count that. It is, I don't know how it works. It was a flip knife, hence the button. Obviously being UK, had to take it out. Did a video about that. And I genuinely bought this in a ladies' dress shop. I didn't go in there by myself. The madam was looking for some jeans or something. And they had a couple of flick knives, glass counter, a couple of flick knives underneath it. And I thought, this is mad. I got this. You're not. Oh yes, that one. Yes. So I ended up with this £2.84. It actually was a pretty good flick knife as well. It was weird being able to carry it for a week as well. That was certainly quite interesting. Flick the button, open it up. Safety, which was a really neat touch. Stainless steel, but not that stainless. Definitely, I think it's wood or plastic. Not plastic. And not brilliantly made, but it's £2.84, and it was a functioning flick knife, and it had a really nice snap on it as well. Most expensive is this cold steel Voyager XL. I bought this when Prepper Shop were closing down their knife department. With postage, it was still about £100, which is, you know, expensive, but it was a sale, and I thought, well, why not? I think they were originally about £120, something like that. Brilliant, big knife, just fun, just plain fun. It's a laugh having this knife. It's a laugh using it. Everything's just humongous, and yeah, it still makes me smile. I don't use it very much. I tend to just get it out and play with it, really, because it's just a hugely fun knife. My concern is again being a folding blade and try and put a bit too much effort on it, but it's just, I'll say it again, it's fun. It's a fun knife, and doing a bit helping Prepper Shop out when they were having problems. Weirdest knife is what's supposed to be a German pantograph paratrooper's knife. I'm not entirely sure these ever actually existed outside somebody's imagination. They, as far as I'm aware, they used a kind of gravity knife, and it is weird. All these swastikas and faux serial numbers, and I can't remember what that says. I think it's rust. No, can't remember. And an SS rune. Yeah, German paratroopers actually belong to the Luftwaffe. Simple enough to operate, just not very well made. That opens up, that comes down, bangs against the crossguard all the way down, taking off any edge you've got on it. Fold that shut eventually, clip that down. I guess the main purpose of a paratrooper's knife, to be honest, is cutting your rigging free. Now, would you really want to be doing that, dangling out and people shooting at you? And I've got to open it. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure, unless anybody could give it to me otherwise, I'm not entirely sure these were ever actually issued. Certainly not with all this sort of faux swastikas and SS stuff and slogans and whatever. It is a weird knife. It doesn't actually work that well. It's not very well made. Weird, interesting, bit different, but again, that's going to ruin any edge. You might as well just drop it on someone, frankly. Homemade comes to this Lost Roman knife. Condor do a version of it, and I made one cheaper because I could. And it's still a favourite knife for various reasons. I learnt a few things that I'm not actually as good at engraving as I thought I was. It's harder than I thought. How to use a chisel to, well, smash a chisel to bits doing that. But the main reason is it's opened up a whole interest in Roman history. When I was at school, we were taught very much that everyone in Britain lived in caves, Nothing happened. We were all smelly and hairy and had spears, and that was it. Then the Romans came along. The Romans are great because they were Latin, and Latin's a good language, and they were brought lots of, you know, viniculture and aqueduct and engineering and law and stuff that didn't actually exist, but law actually did. And you know, slight overlooked. Well, Boudica came along, but she was only a woman as well as British, so against the might of the Roman Empire, didn't stand a chance. And then the Romans, for reasons that were never entirely clear, decided they were going to go back home. Then nothing happened. That's why it's called the Dark Ages, because nobody knew. Nothing happened anyway. Nobody knew what it was. And then the Normans came along, and the Normans are French, and that's better because they're almost Roman as well, and they're Latins, and oh, wonderful. Except they were Vikings, of course. So I'm actually in the process of making another Roman replica knife, and I've actually found the whole study of sort of Roman history quite interesting. There's a couple of Roman bits near us. Just round the corner there's a road actually that's supposed to have had a Roman fort on it. So yeah, it's given me an interest. Apart from it being actually really quite pleasurable knife to make and to use, I'm pleased with this. It's given me a whole new interest, a whole new area of historical interest. And this is, I am making a Roman replica utility knife at the moment. Unfortunately, it's raining again, so I can't do that. Oldest knife. It's probably this one. It's Victorian, so it's pre-1902. It's a penknife. It's designed for, its history would have been for cutting quill feathers to make quill pens. I'm going to have a go at that later. I bought it in an antique shop just because I liked it. It wasn't very expensive. I can't remember how much it was. It was a long time ago. It's nicely made. I like these little mushrooms on the top here to help get the blade out. It's still functional. It's ivory with a little silver inlay. I didn't store it that well, unfortunately, so the ivory's discoloured quite a lot, and I broke the end off it as well, which is really silly. So that's probably the oldest knife. It dates from sort of 1850 to very early 1900. So there's quite a lot of history there. Talking of which, the second contender would be this, which I think is a sort of lady's pocket knife. Little corkscrew, delicate little corkscrew. And just one thing I wanted to point out, a lot of very old pocket knives have a hook on them. People get confused by what this is. I keep seeing this again and again, that it's for pulling out fish guts. It's not true. What it actually is a button hook. In the olden days, before zips and whatever were invented, shoes and boots were buttoned together. The idea was you put that through the buttonhole, because obviously leather, it was quite stiff. You hook the button, slide it back through, and then Bob's your uncle, your shoe's buttoned up. So I don't think this is quite as old, but again, button hooks are a fairly unusual and fairly ancient thing to have. So it's a toss-up between the two, really, and I've still never really quite answered which one actually it is. Newest one has to be the Ravenforge Gun Blue 500. I still like this knife. I put a bit of wax on the handle, just brought out the colour. Obviously it's not particularly, it's not real gun blue. But just look at the different colours, the blues in there and the shininess, and it's a nice knife. It fills my hand nicely. You get a decent grip on it. It did come with a pocket clip, but again, I just don't like them. Took it off. Still got it though. Yeah, this is the newest. I got it last week, and I get paid at the end of the week, so you know, in a few days' time I'll have another newest knife. But yeah, it's a striking, handsome knife. I've been using it quite often. It came very, very sharp, literally shaving sharp. Very impressed. I just like Ravenforge. I like their stuff. They're a nice company to deal with as well. The biggest is my Cold Steel Smash It. It's massive. I was going to get a tape measure on how long it is, but it's by far the longest. Well, it's not by far. It's by about a quarter of an inch. The longest knife I own. It's not the heaviest either. It's just great fun. It's a small sword. It's a machete. It's brilliant for chopping. I did a couple of modifications to it, put that texture on the grip, because otherwise it's very, very smooth. That was just with a Dremel and a burr and for bleeding hours. And a lanyard that just gives you a better grip, keeps a bit of purchase. And as I said when I looked at it, blade, you know, that bit sharp. The rest of it is really quite sharp. I like cold steel knives very much, and I like this one very much. So much so that I think, as I said at the time when I did a video about it, this is going in the ground when I put my clogs. That'll be in the casket as a kind of grave goods warrior with his weapon. Ah, that's the kind of feeling it inspires in me, and it's just great to use. It is by far and away, it's not by far and away the biggest knife, I've already said that, haven't I? It is big, and I like it a lot. And by complete contrast, the smallest knife I own is this teeny tiny little Rough Rider. It actually came as a pair. This one is fractionally smaller. What the point of it is, I don't know. Trying to get an edge on it is almost impossible. It's got this sort of gold effect on it, so it looks quite pretty. But again, it's about an inch long. Not a great deal of point, unless the point of it is to look at it and think, oh, right, nobody's made a smaller knife than that. I think this is it a Barlow? Can't remember the blade shape, it's quite unusual. So it's tiny, it's not really a great deal of point. There's not even any point in having one on a keychain, because to try and sharpen it is almost impossible, and it takes off some of the finish like that. Still a sweet little thing, and it lives in a bag with other tiny little knives, so I don't lose all of them. Because I did have one that was actually, it was thinner and about the same length, and I dropped it on the floor, didn't notice, and hoovered it up, and then emptied the hoover in the bin. So yeah, tiny little point, tiny little knives, apart from to look at, not a great deal of point. I suppose you could smuggle it into a prison very easily enough, but I don't think they'd be too intimidated by that, are they? That's my go on the 8 Knives tag.